All right, we're joining you from poolside here at the Media Hotel. Georgia has beaten Florida State 63-7, 63-3.
63 to 3. Listen, Georgia opted in, Florida State opted out. This was just a massacre, Miami murder, whatever you want to call it. Georgia had a turnover on downs offensively in their first drive. Then they scored 9 consecutive touchdowns. Brett Thorson was able to get a punt off at the end, but all 3 phases of the game, it wasn't even close. Georgia made a statement tonight, fellas. This was clearly, in my opinion, still, they're a top 4 team in the country. They went out and they proved it today. Javon Bullard decided to play in the game. Kamari Lassiter, Kirby's one of his favorite players, I think, of all time, came back. He was very happy, excited for the seniors who won their 50th game. There's a lot to be excited about, Ryan.
Statement. Multiple Georgia players in the locker room told me we wanted to make a statement with this thing, and what they said this whole time, they wanted to finish it right. Can't finish much better than breaking your own record for beating someone in a bowl game. I mean, going from 50-something points to winning a game by 60 points, it's ridiculous, right? The entire thing about this whole game has been ridiculous when you think about everything around it that was not football related, and then you get to the game and look. Some of those players, it looked like a JV squad for Florida State, and because it was. I mean, so that was some of their 4th stringers, and that was the problem with this thing. But for Georgia, that's finishing the season right, and special for a senior class that can go 50-4 starting in 2020. 50-4, it's ridiculous in a lot of ways. That's my word for the night.
Yeah, embarrassing that the college football playoff left Georgia out of it. I would be, Kirby talked about, is this what we want college football to be? He was talking about Florida State and all the opt-outs. But the reality is, we can say that about the Dogs. Nobody wanted to hear me say that earlier. Oh, you're a homer. No, I just have eyeballs and can see really good teams. It was 63-3 tonight, Matt. There was no time at which the Noles were in this game.
Yeah.
There was no structure. Georgia had almost 700 yards total offense. I said Florida State would be lucky to get 200. They had 209. They were lucky. This was not competitive. Georgia belonged in the playoff. Whoever wins the national championship will be a deserving champion, but they will have not gotten to play the best team in the country unless that team's Alabama.
Let's not pretend that Georgia was at 100% full health. There was no Brock Bowers, no
that's
Amarius
true.
Mims, no Small Munden. I mean, Florida State didn't even get 100% Georgia. Now, I know everyone's going to talk about Florida State. Yes, they had their quarterback was injured. The 2 wide receivers were out. The 2 tackles, yada, yada, yada. They still lost by 60 points. Like you said in the card, Dean, in no world would Georgia ever lose by 60 points to anyone.
It's not okay.
It's a bad look for Florida State.
Yes.
I wrote that Georgia gave them a black eye. They gave them 2 black eyes and a few missing teeth. They took their head and they buried it in the South Florida sand, and they were happy to do it. They practiced hard this week. They cared about this game.
Yes.
Kirby says, we care about the Orange Bowl. This is a chance for us to play. Kamari Lassiter said, I've got another chance to play with my teammates, my brothers that I've bled with and cried with. He's not going to miss that opportunity. They took full advantage of this Orange Bowl, going out and getting a win, getting these seniors off, on a high note. And I know that losing to Alabama left a bad taste in everyone's mouth, and they're saying, you know what, we're not doing that again. We're going to prove that we were a top 4 team, Ryan, and that's exactly what they did tonight.
Depth. Georgia's backups went in there and did the exact same thing that the starters did.
Yeah.
They flew down the field. What did you say, 9 straight touchdowns?
Yeah.
9
That's a culmination
consecutive
of all of them.
touchdowns.
You saw Gunnar Stockton out there lowering the shoulder. Roderick Robinson out there lowering the shoulder. Andrew Paul. I'm not naming anyone that played a significant down the entire season. They're out there scoring touchdowns, and I don't know at what point in the second half. That's Florida's 3rd, 4th, 5th stringers. Florida State's. I don't know where they'd be considered on the depth chart, but in college football and in all sports really, depth is a separator. I mean, there are freshmen out there for Georgia that are out there. C.J. Allen's a freshman at linebacker.
Raylan Wilson started.
Yeah, two
five.
true freshmen
It's like, who is it?
at middle linebacker. Yeah, exactly.
I was.
There were players out there for Georgia who I had to do a double take online and make sure that I knew who that was.
I'm really proud of Cedric Van Pran. I think he's had a great career. I think Zion Logue has had a great career. People won't remember Zion Logue. They won't remember Cedric Van Pran. They'll remember Stetson. They'll remember, Brock
Dawg.
Bowers for sure. But you know, and we were talking the other day about does Georgia win the national championship without Brock? Probably not in 18 or whatever
21.
years, 21 and 22 either. But do they win it without Cedric Van Pran? I don't know. Do they win it without Bullard? I don't know. You might have something to say now. I don't know. Everybody that's a star is not a skill player.
Yeah. Shout out to Kendall Milton.
Oh my God,
ran
that guy
through that Florida State defense. He peaked as he was ending his career at Georgia, and it's a shame that he dealt with so many injuries because when he's healthy, that dude is a bowling ball, and he's barreling through guys. Kirby talked a lot about him, talked about Dejan Edwards, and again, Cedric Van Pran, best center in Georgia football history, started 44 straight games.
I don't want to get the text from David Andrews or Ben Jones. But,
hey,
it may happen now.
I said what I said. I'm not saying he's going to have the NFL career that
saying.
neither one had, but 2 national championships, multi-year starter, and guys like Kamari Lassiter, who was a low 4-star in that recruiting class. He loves this team so much, and I wrote about that, Ryan. There's a winning DNA in this program, not just in this team, but it echoes throughout the entire program, and they feel it, and they want to play for each other. And we saw it from one team tonight, we didn't with the other, and that shows where those 2 programs are right now.
Yeah, the post-game press conference was emotional. It was very emotional, especially at the end there with Kirby Smart making statements about, is this how we want the postseason to be and all that. But then, just the story. He always has a story to tell about every player. But it is a culture thing and the standard thing. All of that, it's not bullshit.
No,
all right?
It's
all
not.
Right, excuse my language, but it's not bullshit. It's all real. The connection thing is real. You see it on a weekly basis with these guys, on a daily basis with these guys. They're all best friends. They all do it for each other. Kamari Lassiter today was talking about it could have been Kirby sitting back there behind me. I don't care. Like they established something, and that it starts with Kirby Smart, and it starts with off the field stuff and those skull sessions that they started introducing to us in 2021. I don't know exactly when that started for them, but they want to play for each other and the importance of each other. They could have sat out too. Kendall Milton could have sat out. Tonight, if you hadn't already figured it out, tonight you watched an NFL running back score and run over Florida State. He could have sat out. Kamari Lassiter, the story we heard about Kamari Lassiter tonight, how he wasn't going to play, and Kirby Smart basically told him not to play. Kirby Smart basically told him not to play in this Orange Bowl, and he said, I can't do it. I can't sit on the sideline and just be a coach. So it's the DNA, it's not in their DNA. I like the way Matt put that.
I will say this real quick, Dean. He talked about the senior leadership that they had. This team, and you can tell that they knew how good this team was.
Yeah.
They didn't execute for 4 quarters against Alabama. They dropped that game, but they knew how good they were, and Kirby knows how good this team was. But now they've got to replace Cedric Van Pran. They've got to replace Kamari Lassiter and some of these guys, and it's not going to be easy because they meant so much to this program, and you could see that when he talked about them today.
I have much to say. We were talking about sitting earlier. Ryan, look at this garbage we're sitting on right now.
I'm
Listen
so
to
uncomfortable.
this. No, it's not.
It's not
comfy.
good. It's
not
not comfy.
Our friends at Eco Poly make these visits to South Beach possible. You see my shirt. Well, maybe you don't, but you can customize your pool. This is the pool that we've been lounging at. Really having to get people to stop gawking at me, particularly. Thank you.
There aren't that many dual sport athletes around.
Yeah, yes, dual sport student athlete. No, listen, customize your backyard, customize your pool area with our friends from Eco Poly, 20-year warranty. Completely recycled plastics. You can customize it. It's awesome. It's way more comfortable than this thing I'm sitting on right now, but it's a tiki set, so whatever. I think the problem tonight, for me, the sadness of tonight was they knew how good they were. They didn't win the national championship. I think they could be better next year. I know that's. I don't know. There's a lot to. This program's not going to be able to get around Alabama without going through them. Alabama's not going to be able to get around Georgia without going through them. Alabama has done that twice in the last 3 times. But those two just need to be comfortable squaring each other up, because that's what college football is right now. And I don't know who's going to win the national championship. but I know that the two teams that will be favored to win the national championship next year are Georgia and Bama. And, if you're Georgia, I think you got to be comfortable that you are the better team. But you did lose that game, and this is what it cost you. The lukewarm, the melancholy of tonight. There was literally no confetti at the Orange Bowl. I'm not sure I understand that, but there was no confetti tonight. It's not Matt. It's not a I can't remember what the term is. It's not a metaphor.
I'm not gonna know it.
It's not a metaphor, but there was no confetti that dropped tonight, and that's tough for Cedric and Zion and all these guys that have done a lot. But the truth is, they're leaving with 2 rings. They're the only people leaving college football with 2 rings, and I don't know what's going to happen with a lot of the players, but there's an opportunity for 3 and 4 years. I think Georgia needs to take advantage of it while they got a shot. I reference Clemson a lot because LSU was a flash in the pan, but we're further now along than with Kirby's under Georgia under Kirby than Clemson under Dabo and success. It's gone away for Clemson. Do you want that to happen at Georgia? It doesn't seem like it's going to happen with Kirby Smart.
We keep talking about that train, right? That machine that Kirby has built. It is a machine, and it's not going anywhere. This program's going to be back competing for national titles again, maybe next year, maybe winning it all. But they were 13-1 this year. 13-1. I know what the one was, Ryan. It was on the biggest stage to the biggest opponent, but they're going to get that opportunity again. But I do think that we have to acknowledge what Cedric Van Pran did and Kamari Lassiter and Brock Bowers. Brock, one of the best college football Hall of Famer. And
for sure.
I really hope that Georgia fans kind of sit back and understand what they saw.
Would you retire 19? Because, Hines Ward.
I would retire 13 as well.
I would very seriously consider 13.
I mean, 19's 19, so I think that's a number that you could get away with retiring. Hines Ward was great, but it's 19. You can give that to Brock.
Hines was awesome. He was not Brock Bowers, and I'm talking about Hines Ward.
Yeah,
that's amazing. Go ahead.
Yeah. It wasn't the end that Georgia fans wanted. It wasn't the end that the program wanted. I think that a lot of people penciled in the 3P after the TCU game. I mean, that's what all the talk was. It was 3P.
They lost one game by 3.
Yeah, they lost, and that's the problem, is they lost on the wrong day.
Yes, exactly.
We'll do it one more time. That was one of the 4 best teams in college football this season.
Alabama.
Georgia.
Oh, Georgia, yeah.
Sure. Both. Yeah, that was one of the 4 best teams.
I think that's the thing for me, is that we got to be comfortable that a team that loses the college conference championship, particularly the SEC, that doesn't mean they're not one of the best 4. That's the ridiculousness of this.
My
2021. Hello.
I have more than one complaint about the 12-team playoff, but my biggest is that the 4 seeds are going to just be the auto bids for the conference champions. That is stupid.
That is stupid.
Because I think that we've watched time and time again that conference championships are not created equal. Conferences are not created equal. Are you going to look at the Big 12 next year? And I don't know how it's going to play out with the Big 12. I don't know who's going to win that. Are you going to tell me that the winner of that is going to be better than the winner of the SEC or the Big 10?
You're going to tell me the ACC champion
oh my God,
is better than the 3rd or 4th best team in the SEC? Who would Florida State beat in the SEC? Besides
which
the
version of Florida State?
I don't care. They're not beating Georgia.
Not beating Missouri.
They're probably not beating Missouri. They're probably not beating Ole Miss. They're probably not beating Alabama.
They beat LSU.
Well, that's number 5.
Yeah.
So here's my but it's not the same. And Matt, we don't know yet what that will be like as I scream. I don't know what I'm screaming about, but I'm trying to get to the
traffic's out there.
The traffic is significant. Shay, shout out to Jeff for really helping us tonight. He probably won't see this, by the way.
Yeah.
But
thank you, Jeff.
Yes, for sure. That was very helpful. But I just, at least though it's not equitable, but now you have a shot. In college basketball, you always had a shot. You could not lose. You could not win a game, and you got your conference tournament, and you could go win your conference and play. Well, now in college football, if you win your league, you go play. But all of these leagues are not created equally, and we're going to see Georgia play Clemson right away, who I guess will be a favorite in the ACC. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. I would assume that you're right, but it's going to come down to the two big conferences, right? That's where
Yes.
the big boys
That's
are
what it
going to
seems
play
like.
at the end. But I'll tell you what, if you're Texas or Washington and you watched that Orange Bowl tonight, you're thinking, I'm glad we
Get
don't
it now,
have to play
though.
the Dogs.
But get it now.
Yeah.
Get it now.
Yeah.
Because UT's coming in this thing. It's going to be a different basket of balls.
Yeah. And the get it now comment is
Get it
the
now.
reason why Georgia not winning was a little bit.
Yes.
It stung a little bit further
Yeah.
because you knew how good they were. You know that it's probably going to be harder moving forward, and that this was the last time it was going to be this type of scenario where you only have to win 2 games in the playoff to win the national championship. But yeah, no, I mean, Texas, Washington, I just don't think that those are better teams than Georgia, and that's not what this is about.
But
It was
excellence
a great
is-
season for
Excellence
Georgia.
is hard to. Perfection is nearly impossible, but excellence is hard to repeat consistently. Alabama has done that. People, I mean, I don't hate out. I mean, I admire what Nick has done there.
How do you not?
I
know
don't
a lot
see it.
of-
So stupid.
A lot of people
Yeah.
hate Alabama, and I
Why?
get it, but if you don't respect what they've
Yes.
done and admire and say, wow, I mean, that's
If you are doing that to Alabama and you're a Georgia person, because if you're 17 minutes into this thing and you're watching this, you're clearly a Georgia person.
thank you for watching.
Thank
by
you
the
for
way.
watching. We can't do this without you, and we're not joking about that part. But
Of course, they're
if you-
17 minutes into it. This is the last riding home of the season.
of the
Dean.
season,
Of the season, we
that's
will be
true.
doing
We'll
stuff
be
every
back.
week.
We will be back. But if you are hating on Alabama, you're not going to like what's coming from Georgia in the future because it's going to be the same damn thing. And get used to it because what we saw tonight. So when Bama beat Auburn, when Auburn beat Bama in 13, I bet you the sky was falling in Alabama. Then they lost in the first round of 14 to Ohio State. Well, they've won a couple of national championships since then. Georgia's going to lose games, and the games they lose will be big games because that seems to be all that they play in.
I will say, are we getting to a point in college football, as probably need to talk louder, where it's still the coach and program that adapts the most to the transfer portal and the extended playoff, whatever team or coach, because Nick Saban, that's what he's done a great job at. It's whether it's developing an offense that's more pass heavy and explosive as opposed to winning games and championships with defense. That's what he's done a great job at, and that's why he's the best of the best. And that's why Kirby will go down as one of the best college football coaches of all time when that time comes. But is this still a talent over everything, or is this who can adapt to the new ways of college football?
It's going to have a lot to do with that. And the thing with Georgia and with Kirby is it's not like Colorado or Florida State or whichever school that's going to need to attack the portal because of the recruiting trail and how they're still dominating that and how they much prefer to build from the ground up. And I don't think that that's going to go away. You saw this year, I can't remember the number of transfers, but a lot of them were guys that just didn't play that much, and that makes sense.
It's
And-
about 15.
16.
Yeah, and with the new rules for some people, it really is. Hey, you should go check out somewhere else. Like this, that makes sense. But Georgia's gonna be fine even if that happens every year because they're going to replenish and they're going to building, and that's what did Kirby talk about tonight? Building people, like how Dejan Edwards had grown as a person.
I think that's. I mean, this is gonna sound stupid, but I'm not joking when I say this. I think that if you're a chief executive officer and you want to learn how to grow your company or your culture, I think going to visit Nick and Kirby, it's really smart because they're doing the granule, they're doing the everyday. It's what they're doing is very difficult for developing aspiring professional athletes to check themselves in a way and to buy in and do everything right. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think some people watching this may have an idea of how hard Kirby works and how many hours he puts in a day, but it's probably more than Georgia fans realize. That guy is nonstop.
There's a lot. I worry about Kirby. I talked about this in Leggy's Thoughts that y'all will see tomorrow. I do worry about Kirby, but I think that he wouldn't be doing his job if I wasn't worrying about his longevity, his health, his mental health. I can't imagine how much he sees through his eyes that he has to process on a daily basis. That's got to be very, very difficult. Georgia's getting a bargain with him. He's still at $10 million or whatever. He is vastly worth more than that for
I think
the
you're right.
institution. I don't know that he'd ever get 20. He might get 20 in 6 years, but him and Nick. I mean, Jim Harbaugh doesn't bring that to Michigan. I can't recall the coach at Washington's name. They don't bring it. Texas, the same situation. I think Dabo has brought that to Clemson.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's fading, but it is fading. But I think he did bring that. Brian Kelly's not bringing that to LSU. This is a full. I mean, Jerry Moorhead is getting a bargain right now. But I do think that Kirby's got to. Kirby needs Kirby time. Mike, Will, Todd Hartley, Del McGee, everybody on that staff, Stacy. They need some time to themselves too, and they can't go around killing themselves. You're not going to win a national championship every single season. This is one of those years, but those guys need to take care of themselves. I do wonder if it's worth it. We work a lot, and I sometimes wonder, is this really worth the trouble? But they're doing it for your enjoyment, period. And then they do get paid. To which I say, because what in the world, man? They're supposed to do it for good feelings?
No.
Yeah, look, Kirby, I know you don't like us, but I'm going to say some more nice things about
I
you.
think
man.
he likes
I'm
us.
going to say some more nice things.
It's
but
okay.
I don't know that there's in all of sports, I don't know that there's a better fit than Kirby Smart in Georgia as a coach and a team.
Nick and Alabama
And Nick and
are very
Alabama
good,
is...
for sure.
But with him going to Georgia and the roots and him
Georgia
growing
guy.
up being his dad being a high school football coach
They're
in
around
Georgia,
all the time.
It's all intertwined, and it matters, and it's helped him be where he's at today. But this isn't going anywhere. Georgia's gonna, and maybe it's harder, and maybe those changes actually help Georgia, and we just don't know that yet. But they're not just gonna fall off a cliff. This is not like it's gonna take a long time, I think, for Georgia to regress down. Maybe Georgia can regress down a level in the next few years, because what we just watched the last 3 seasons was unbelievable. But taking 2 steps back would be just a surprise. That's the thing. That should be the scary thing for the rest of the country. Is I mean, you got to go through Georgia too, just the way you had to go through Alabama.
Will you got to go through both now? That's the real problem. Will the college football playoff in the future be more difficult to win national championships than it is now?
I think so, just because it's more games and it's better teams. You would think that. I mean, you're playing a top 12 team. Then if you win, you're probably playing a top 6 team, and then eventually you're going to get there. And as we saw in early December, if you don't bring your A game every single time against a team that may not be as good as you, but they do bring their A game, you slip up once, you're done. You have to keep continuing to win. And I just want to say this real quick. I know everyone watching this would rather see Georgia playing a national championship. That didn't happen this year, but I don't know how many times they're going to beat a team by 60 points again. I think people just need to enjoy what we saw tonight or last night, whenever you're watching this. What happened tonight was special. 63-3. It is just absolutely crazy. All credit to Kirby Smart and this staff, because that was something special. And I don't care about the opt-outs. 60. You win a game by 60 points, Georgia fans. I don't. How many other programs can say the last time they won a game by 60 points? That's all I'm saying.
These are the glory days. These are the glory days for Georgia football. So take it in, soak in every game. I know that when we're at different stadiums, I try to soak in those moments too, because it matters to us in different ways. But this train is going to keep rolling and keep rolling. And this season was a great season. The circumstances to look at this season as disappointing, that's all you need to know about Georgia right now. To look at 2023 and say, wow, 63-6 over Florida State, Orange Bowl champ, 13-1. Like, when you look back at that in 10 years, and it'll always have the little asterisk of it being a little bit disappointing because of the circumstances, that's all you need to know about where Georgia's at.
They recruit against Florida State. This wasn't Arkansas State or Charleston Southern they won by 60 points. This was Florida State, a team that they are recruiting against. It's a big deal.
Look, I had a great close there. I can't remember what I was going to say.
I'm sorry about that.
No, it was Ryan that threw me off. But
well,
these are the glory days, I think, and I think that there will be more confetti and more trophies hoisted, but we're not that far removed from playing in the Liberty Bowl, Kirby Smart's first time. We're not, these things come and go, and you should appreciate everything that's going on at Georgia right now. Now, if you're watching this, if you know, to some degree you're a part of it, but everything doesn't. Every ending is not a happy one, and I think that's the part that needs to be remembered. You know, Georgia went 40 years without winning a national championship. There will go 1 year, and they very well could win the national championship next year. I mean, I would almost predict it right now, but I want to see a couple things first. But I think it's been an outstanding season when you consider just how good this team is. It just didn't win the national championship. I don't really have anything else to sum it up with. I think they were spectacular. They just lost the wrong game.
Yeah.
And it can happen. From poolside in Miami, I don't know where we are now.
South Florida.
South Florida.
Yeah.
After Georgia's 60 point
305.
record breaking.
They broke
It was
so many
historic.
Orange Bowl records. The guy in the press box was saying them all, and I couldn't even type them out. There were so many. I mean, special game.
Yeah, a sensational close to the season. Kirby knows what he's got. They're special. Watch out in 2024. This is going to be a really good Georgia team again. Thanks for watching. Let me knock this out.